Good morning, guys, and welcome to the podcast from Massachusetts. I have Mike Firehammer
Mark, but
and
that's close.
Mark Firehammer, and he's bridging the gap between art, business, wellness, and innovation. And he's going to talk to us all about his work, and I'm really happy to have him on to add value to the audience. So, Mark, welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. I'm happy to be here and helping people that don't want to spend all their money on healthcare when they get older is the reason I get out of bed every day.
Yeah, healthcare is a big problem in the States. And so, start off by talking what led you to start what you're doing now and how you're helping clients. And I love your passion and your energy.
Yeah, thank you. I started out my work life as a musician.
Mm.
So that's where my creative process comes from, but I retired when I was 40. I'm 62 now. And moving forward, I was a digital marketer and partnered with a lot of businesses to help them make more money and increase their value. But as I approached the age of 50, 52, 53, I started to experience that moment where, wow, my body just is not feeling like it did when I was 20, 30, and 40. Use it or lose it, as they say here in the States.
Yeah.
And right around that time, I met my life partner now, Katrina Hawley, who owns a Pilates studio that's been in the same location for 25 years. And I'm like, wow, this is someone that I'm just going to follow around and learn what she knows, because she's one of those people that's a triple threat, former dancer, studied lots of different movement modalities. And Pilates is interesting in itself because it bridges that, it stands on that line between fitness and physical therapy. We, being in a 5-college town, the Pilates studio serves athletes from the 5 colleges that want to either get over an injury or enhance their performance. And a lot of the sports medicine doctors in the region know Katrina when they send those kids our way. But in addition to that, it's a lot of folks over the age of 60, 70, even into their 80s, who just want to hold on to their freedom, their mobility, and their independence. And that's my passion, because my parents didn't manage to do that, right? I know that your audience has some people in the financial world. My dad was a financial planner for Raymond James, and he's gone now, but he gave them sound advice that was the advice that he was taught to give. What do you want to do when you retire? When do you want to retire? And what do you want to do? Okay, we'll figure out how to invest so that you end up with the money that you need to get you to the end, whether you live to 80, 90, or 100, whatever it's likely to be. A very sad end to that story is neither one of them got to live the life that they wanted in their golden years because they fell and broke their hip. And that changed everything from that moment on. It's assisted living, and all the millions that they had banked went back into the system to pay for their care. And one of the things that really strikes me about that is the reality that as a financial planner, no one plans to end up in a nursing home, right? But that field in general also doesn't ask you to plan not to. And if you don't happen to be an athlete or avid fitness buff, that's what happens.
Yeah. Wow. Amazing story. And I personally train in yoga, and it's, people, there's a lot of misconceptions, but I love this idea how creating movement, and there's a lot of benefits and corollaries between these. And so one question I have for you is just how does Feelness address this need? Is it like it's an online platform, and what is its USP, and what do clients come to Feelness for? What are they looking for to solve or achieve?
Yeah, it's a great question. And being a systems guy, here I am at a Pilates studio every day, and I'm watching, and I know 2 things. One, that the people that are going there, getting in their car, spending $100 an hour or more to get an expert's help is one kind of consumer. There was also a whole bunch of other consumers that you walk around America, especially, and you can see they're not going anywhere to an expert for physical well-being. We've got real health problems here. And you nailed it when you said even yoga is misunderstood. Yoga in America, unfortunately, is another fitness modality, is more about the body. So to answer your question, Feelness is a system that has not invented any movements. It hasn't created anything new. In fact, the same movements that you see in what we call prescriptions in every gym, every strength trainer, every personal training regimen, you see those same movements. Here's the difference, though. With fitness, the goal is additional strength and endurance. That means load, adding weight, and
Mhm.
repetition and intensity.
Wow.
And that builds muscle mass and builds endurance. That's hard work. And that's where the conception that all things feel good in your body, fitness means hard work and discomfort along the way. What I learned from watching the Pilates instructors, we have a dozen instructors, is that in feelness, you take the same movements, remove the load. Instead of load and frequency, it's about gentleness and listening to the body. And you, Chris, being a yoga guy, you
Mm.
know that if you're doing really smart yoga, like old school yoga, is that body awareness is the key, and feelness is keyed off of that. Let me
Mhm.
give you an example. Every day, human beings have to do 9 things that if they can do them without making the sound, I think you'll recognize this sound. Oof. Have you ever heard somebody do that? They bend over to pet the cat or tie their shoe and they go, oof. Invariably, when I ask them, oh, are you okay? Let's say it's a family member or a friend, a loved one, whatever. They go, yeah, I'm just getting old. And there's a cultural misunderstanding that the
Mhm.
decline of the physical body is inevitability of age. It's got nothing to do with age. It has more to do with how little you've moved in the last 5, 10 years. So feelness is keyed off of the 9 things that we have to be able to do. Get out of bed, just
Mm.
rolling out, right? That first walk might be to the bathroom or the kitchen or the curb to get the paper.
Mm.
Reaching to a high shelf. I keep my coffee beans up high for the very specific reason of I want to know when my shoulder says no, it says oof, right? There's 3. Bending over to pet the cat. There's 4. 5, go sit down at the breakfast table and have breakfast for half an hour. How's that feel? Getting out of the chair. Do I need the table to help me out of the chair? Do I need a cane to help me out of the chair? Or can I just get up like I did when I was 20? That's
Mm.
what's that, 4? 5. Getting down to the floor, all the way down to the floor. Getting back up from the floor. And the last one is looking over the shoulder like back in the day when we didn't have cameras on our dashboard in the car. You look over your shoulder to back the car out of the driveway, right? If you can do all 9 of those tasks, you're at what we call feelness level 0. That means you've got nothing to fix. Your body is functioning as designed. But the
Yeah.
moment you go, oof, you simply follow the prescription that's groups of 7 movements that, again, they're familiar movements. You do them 10 minutes in the morning, maybe 10 minutes in the evening. I was doing them 10, 10, and 10, 30 minutes a day 2 years ago because I was starting to have difficulty walking. Left heel pain, they called it plantar fasciitis, right knee tendonitis, hip pain, and lower back pain, depending on where I was walking. So in 28 days, a total of 832 minutes,
Mm.
I corrected all those problems by following the prescription. And that's 2 years ago in July. In July, it'll be 2 years. And since then, because my routine now includes regular gentle movements and mindfulness, I'm
Mm.
still walking each and every day with the joy of a 15-year-old, like when I was a kid climbing trees and chasing the dog around the yard.
Mm.
So yeah, it's really that easy. And the difference is not huge goals of massive weight loss, muscle gain, strength gain, endurance, but instead functional movement and comfort and ease.
Mm. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was very fascinating because you alluded to it. A lot of NFL players are turning to Pilates,
Oh
Olympic
yeah.
athletes. One thing that is another misconception is people, here in the United States with fitness and this preoccupation with weight loss, and then people think you have to like run 20 miles or strenuous exercise, and people like get injured. So talk about building a sustainable wellness routine without the need for strenuous exercise.
Yeah. It's really as a doctor. I'm not sure what your specialty is. What field?
Orthopedics.
Orthopedics. Okay.
Very,
All right, good.
very
I'm glad I'm talking to an orthopedist. As the body has 7 areas, there's feet and ankles, lower legs, upper legs, hips, back, neck and shoulders, and then the arms, like from the elbow down to the wrist and the hands. Our movement groups are based upon those 7 areas. And the hips and the spine have 2 groups of 7: hip mobility, hip stability, spine mobility, spine stability, right? So once you are feeling pretty good again in your body because you followed a prescription, The sustainable practice is just to simply rotate through the 9 groups of 7 once a day,
Hmm.
right? Once a day. And I've even gotten to the point where I don't have to do that every day because we did something that some people think is dramatic and unheard of. We
Yeah.
got rid of the furniture.
Hmm.
We got rid of traditional furniture. We did it a little at a time, inspired by, I bet you've seen it. It's called The Blue Zones by Don Buettner. Yeah,
Uh,
people are living to 100 years old in 5 places on the earth. Okinawa is one of them. And so I didn't want to have to do 10, 20 minutes a day of just movement for the sake of movement. So instead, I made sure that the house was organized so that movement was a part of life, right? Getting down onto the floor. I'm 62 years old. Guess what I can do that most of my peers can't? I can take a glass of wine, let's say a martini. I'm not a big drinker, but just as an example, I can get all the way to the floor without spilling it. And I don't use my hands. I can then get right back up from the floor without using it. 2 years ago, I couldn't do that. And that's how powerful a gentle, mindful movement can be when you do it a little bit every day instead of a lot with resistance and weight where you actually hurt after that. I don't know about you. I marvel when I go to a gym or I meet gym goers and they're like, oh, I hurt so good. I don't get that. I just don't get that as my pain is evidence of how good I'm doing for my fitness routine. I don't get it.
yeah. 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 Fascinating. And the other question is one for the audience. It seems like when you talk about functional movement, and what about if they're still fairly young, the audience, and they're, mid to late 20s, they're like, yeah, my body's still good. Why should they still understand feelness?
Yeah. Oh, that's such a great question, Chris. And for the same reason that so many of us in our 60s and 70s and beyond are in trouble today, it's about the belief system that we inherit from our parents and their parents.
Yeah.
And the young people in their 20s, you're feeling good because you're young and you're very active. You haven't entered the workforce, you don't have children. So the dream for us is we have to have a new belief system
Yeah.
that it doesn't have to be strenuous. It just needs to be intentional and gentle and regular. And if you have those habits that you're building in your 20s, you can carry them right through and then you'll hand that down to your children as well. But that's a generational shift. Conformity is a real thing in this country. We do what the marketplace shows us is desirable. And I've written songs on the subject. I'm pretty passionate about it.
Yeah.
I'm a lifelong nonconformist, Chris.
Yeah. And a lot of the listeners are actually nonconformists and they want to hear something different and
Yeah.
start to think outside the box. This is a business entrepreneurship podcast, and I'm always looking for incorporating things, new ideas. Like Bruce Lee says, take the good and leave what doesn't resonate. Entrepreneurs and fitness experts, either personal coaches, personal trainers, why should they also understand feelness in addition to their regular core routine and training regimen?
Yeah, I think it's important because it's sustainable and it doesn't require you to go anywhere. We have 3 businesses under our corporation, a digital marketing company, the Pilates studio, and a fitness consulting firm. And sometimes I'm too busy to go for that 40-minute walk, or I'm certainly not going to start going to the gym because I never have. But my feelness routine allows me to just take a breath, turn off my email inbox, turn off the phone, get down on the floor for 10 minutes and just move in the way I have a vocabulary now, movement vocabulary, because
Uh-huh.
I created the system and I've been doing it for a couple of years now. So
Yeah.
I don't even need to bring up the website and look at the videos. I
Yeah.
just know them as what I do every day. And from an entrepreneurial point of view, I do my best process work when I'm working with a team or working with a company trying to be more successful. I do my best process work when my body is not complaining. I
Hmm.
call it the table of concern, right? If
Mhm.
you're physically ailing in some way, that is taking some of your analytical bandwidth away from you. And as long as you can maintain a body that says yes to everything that you demand of it, you're going to be much more effective in your own business and guiding others in theirs as well. And I watched my parents lose their ability to be truly effective.
Mm.
And it was disheartening and saddening to watch that.
Yeah. Another follow-up question is for the kinesthetic learners, like you're talking about moving your body and how you feel. Talk about the importance of creativity and wellness and optimizing together with physical freedom.
Yeah, creativity. Okay, how much time do we have? Can I tell like a 2-minute story?
Yeah.
I stopped writing songs in 2005, and I've written nearly 100 songs by then.
Mm.
And I'd only recorded less than 25 of them. And even though I use the same creative process in business, what do I want? Talking about Stephen Covey's work, begin with the end in mind, be proactive, put first, things win win. That my creative process in songwriting mirrored that same thing. What do I want to say? Business, same thing. What do I want to create? What do I need to create? So the creative process is so important to end up where you imagined in the first place. And your body is nothing more than a project that will either succeed or fail based upon how well you leveraged the principles that dictate that outcome. Does that
Mm.
make sense?
Yeah.
Covey said, if you're going to have a belief system, you should make sure that every belief you hold, and you nailed it with Bruce Lee's quote is make sure that it actually serves you. If you believe something, you got to question it. I've lived my life. I don't accept anything until I've evaluated its ability to serve my goal. But
Mm.
included in that is win-win. It can't be I win, you lose. That's no good. I'm not contributing to society in a meaningful way. So for me, there is no line between creativity, business success, making more wealth, making the same amount of money in half the time. That's what I think of these days.
Mm.
You don't necessarily need more money. It would be nice, but I certainly don't want to just work. If I can make the same amount of money in half the time and being physically well is a part of that equation, that's what I'm going to do.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Lastly, there's this that you talk a lot about AI, and I know a lot of business owners, entrepreneurs I'm talking to you are using AI to automate and scale, but you actually talk about how AI can enhance the creative processes.
Yes, I am a maniac about it. I run into naysayers out there and I just say, look, you're missing the point. I have cultivated a relationship with my AI agent and my AI account that I've learned don't ask it to fill in the blanks. In other words, it helps me like a real assistant will. I'm the expert.
Mm.
But my assistant, let's say I hire this assistant, let's say I'm going to write a book. And I've never written a book before, and I know everything in every chapter that I want to say, but I'm not an editor. So I treat my AI assistant as an editor, and I tell it, I want you to challenge me. If I give you if I put something down and you think that I've made a mistake, I want you to challenge me and I want you to tell me why. And what's fascinating about that is sometimes it's right. Most of the time it's not. But because we're only operating on what I want in the book, I don't allow it to hallucinate. That's a word they use in AI a lot. I don't allow it to hallucinate new information, even if I find it attractive. I
Yeah.
leave no room for that. So it's such a joy to experience the acceleration of success using AI. I don't know if AI Culture Shift, Adnan Iftikhar, it's a new book that's just out. He's a friend of mine. He talks about that AI, if you use it, is an accelerant. It's not a cheat. It's not a shortcut. It's an accelerant. And I can write books I have 2 books underway now in no time at all. We blog for all 3 businesses. I can do 2, 3 posts a day if I have something that I need to write about. Thanks to my assistant that knows me so well, it speaks my language. It knows how I want to say it, not what I'm going to say, but how I want to say it. And I would encourage everyone to get into a course and learn how to engineer a prompt and learn how to teach your AI account who you are, why you are, what you do, what you're passionate about. It remembers that when you build it in. And it's just remarkable how fast you can move toward really desirable outcomes.
Mm. Yeah, I love talking to entrepreneurs that embrace AI. A lot of people are afraid of it and afraid of
Yeah.
the implications, afraid it's gonna take their jobs or
Yeah.
gonna make them obsolete. So if people wanted to learn more about Feelness and connect with you and learn more from you, how could they do that?
Myfeelness.com, just like it sounds, that's a direct line to Feelness. But if people are intrigued by what I'm doing with AI, all things Mark Firehammer can be found at markfirehammer.com, including the books that I'm working on right now. One's called The Echo and the Voice. What is particularly compelling is if you listen to music on Spotify or Amazon Music or wherever you listen to music, say, play the artist's imagined collection, songs by Mark Firehammer. And what you're going to experience is the songs that I was never going to record because they weren't written for my voice. They were written for like a rock voice or a girl voice. And all of these songs are fully produced. If I didn't tell you, you wouldn't know that it was AI.
Huh.
And without that tool, those songs would have been a regret at the end of my life. I would have nobody ever experienced the story or the message or the quality of some gem of truth that those songs had to offer. You can find that all on the website as well as on all those streaming channels.
Nice. Yeah. I really enjoyed this conversation and keep up the great work.
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate it.